YouTube? Shuki here with a review of the Power Rangers Ninja Steel Action Heroes Wave 1. And just like most series, our Wave 1 consists of the 5 core Rangers. The Red Ranger, the Blue Ranger, the Yellow Ranger, the Pink Ranger, and the White Ranger. And they all fit in my camera frame, so yeah. As you can tell, like right off the bat, I'm just going to scoot the extra ones out of the way for now. Just looking at the package, it's a little bit of a different take than what we're used to. Gone are the absolute rectangular sort of packages, and we have a really interesting sort of oval-esque package. That's pretty cool. It kind of helps them stand out compared to the Dino... I almost said Dino Steel. That's actually a mode, come to think of it. Dino Charge figures. But you do have the Red Ranger up there with the Technique Attack Star up there. Pilot the Megazord. It gets its own logo. This silly feature of sticking the figure in the Megazord. It gets its own little logo. So there we go. And on the back here, you can see 3 of the, I believe, 5 or 6 different villains that are going to start off this series. So that's kind of cool. We get more villains. They're really demanded from the fan base, and I think the kids get a kick out of having the villains as well. So the villains will be continuing in Ninja Steel really quickly, so those should be out within the next 2 months or so. And of course, the Pilot the Megazord thing, and there's just a picture, Red Ranger on the back, no sort of bios or names or anything like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get all 5 of these open and take a look. Alright, here we are, and there's small, subtle changes in these molds compared to the Dino Charge ones that I really like what they did. But before I get into the figure itself, I want to do a quick comparison to the Japanese one. Fans of Ninja know that they had the Nin in Action series, and it featured the 3 males right here in an action figure form, and they actually used our Action Hero mold when making these figures. Now, the one that they used was closer to the Super Megaforce version of the Action Hero mold in terms of height and build. So you had a pretty good figure, honestly. There was a couple things I really liked. They had the kind of colored shuriken in the belts. Obviously, the Technique one was black, but still close enough in that regard. But they were pretty nice, solid figures. No joint problems or anything like that. But there's a couple things that Bandai America did with their figures that I kind of like a little bit more. Molding detail-wise, obviously, these are all gonna be generic. They generify their belts quite a bit, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But all those kind of unsightly joints, those little screw holes and stuff that are in the Japanese mold, are all covered with colored caps on the American toys. So that is a definite plus as well for me. Height-wise, you can tell right off the bat that ours are a little bit shorter to be more in line with the Dino Charge release of the Action Heroes. Other than that, it's just a very subtle coloring difference. The head's a little bit smaller because of the size difference. But one thing that is new, that's about it for these. One thing that is new with these Ninja Steel figures are a ratchet joint up on the shoulder, and I adore that. That is great. First of all, I like ratchet joints most of the time because they're solid. There's no like weak floppy joints when it comes to actually ratchets in the joint. So I like that a lot, especially in arms. Arms have a tendency on having very loose joints in figures like these, or wearing over time, and that won't really happen now. So you can have a variety of different poses that will hold over time. So that's a very big plus, in my opinion. Everything else about the figure is pretty much the same as the Dino Charge ones. Give or take, you have swivels down there, single joints at the knee, full pin swivel system in the hips. Like I said, you do have, it's still a pin and swivel system, but it works off a ratchet joint now instead of just a smooth joint. Single joint at the elbow, which is nice and tight. I do like that. You do have a rotation at the gauntlet, and now you have a rotation at the hand as well. But be a little bit careful. This is a softer plastic than the actual figure, and it does have tendency to kind of bend around. So be careful with the hands. That's about the only thing I'm not a huge fan of when it comes to these figures. But another thing you'll notice with the Japanese mold is, thanks to the fact that we're using the old Super Megaforce mold, the gauntlets are a little bit bigger and a little bit less accurate compared to the suits in the show. So that is something to keep in mind too. I wasn't going to pick up the boys since I had those figures already, but they made those changes to the arm, and I wanted to make sure my set was all the same. I didn't want any differences, so I ended up picking up the boys again. But there we are with those figures. Here's a quick comparison to the Dino Charge release. So as you can see, it's a smaller gauntlet that they got going on here. It's pretty cool. They're about the same height, same style of mold. There really isn't any huge differences with these two figures besides the ratchet joint that they changed and this new hand system that they got going on. That's really about the only major difference between the Ninja Steel and the Dino Charge action heroes. So that is really about it. Here is the Red Ranger, like I said, right there. And each of these Rangers comes with their own Ninja Star Sword, or Ninja Star Blade, rather, I think is what it's called. And they're all pretty nice. They got the Technique Ninja Star in there, so that is nice and fitting of that. Here is the Blue Ranger. And articulation on these is about all the same until we get to the girls. Here is Yellow. I do like how the backs are actually painted this time around. That's a rare occurrence for Bandai America toys. But yeah, we have the little black sash in the back, so very nice touch there. Now here's an example of the girl mold with the White Ranger. Very nice. They definitely stepped up their game this time around, mostly by putting slits in the skirt. Now, it's not accurate to the show because the suits don't actually have slits in the series, but thanks to the fact that they're action figures with plastic skirts, the Dino Charge ones, like, you couldn't get past this. Like, this is all the leg movement that poor Shelby had. She could go a little bit like that, but that was it. But thanks to the new slits in the skirts, the figures can now do almost the splits. Obviously not quite because of the way the joint's designed, but you can get a pretty far wide spread out that way. You can get some higher knee bends. You could get a full-on kick. So thank you, Bandai America, for doing that finally. We finally have slits in the skirts. These figures can stand naturally. They're not all tight up like this. You can actually have a wider action pose. There is still not really ratchets in these. It's a tight joint, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to wear over time, but it's not quite the ratchet level that the dudes have in their shoulders. But still a very solid joint nonetheless, and you get a rotation a little bit lower on the girls, so you get them down at the heel there. Heel? That's not a heel, that's an ankle. And same thing there with the gauntlet turning and the hands turning. Their hands are a little bit bent, but nothing too extravagant. So very, very nice. Huge step up on the girl figures, which is a shame because Dino Charge had more girl releases than Ninja Steel probably will because of all the modes that Dino Charge had. But we'll see. We'll see by the end of it. And here is the Pink Ranger. And same general articulation rules apply for her. So very, very nice. My only complaint on these figures is the accessories, because it only comes with the Ninja Star Blade. And that is definitely unfortunate. If you have the Japanese releases, if you have these guys, and you're going to double dip, you actually get quite a bit of accessories with those guys. You get all of the Ninja Battle Morpher modes. So you get the bow, you get the blade, and you get the claw with the individual dudes. This blade came with red, claw came with yellow, bow came with blue. Each of those also had their swords. Unfortunately, they were all the Red Ranger's Ninja in that series. So I think these are a little bit of a step up. They're longer, they're shorter. Oh, White Ranger just took a dive. She got bored. So yeah, I like our swords a lot better, but they also come with the blaster. I don't know the actual name for this one yet. It was a frog gun or Gamagama-Ju, rather, but in a Ninja. But you do have those if you do have the Japanese release of the figures. Or if you just really want those weapons, the Japanese release of the figures probably aren't too expensive anymore because they did not go over well in Japan. So you can probably get them pretty cheap if you just want to get those accessories. And of course you can pilot the Megazord. Oh, wow, my gosh. And stuff like that. So just kind of take a figure, wedge them in there, make them grip the little bars, fix them up, bring the helmet down, and there you go. The Red Ranger's piloting the robot, which is actually kind of neat in its own slight weird regard. So there's that. That is a feature that you can do with this toys. The girls can do it too, kind of. They're a little bit more lopsided, but they can do it. Her hands are also a little bit smaller, so gripping the little bar thing, it's a little bit of a pain. I'm only going to do that one hand to save time. But the girls can sit in there too. Like I said, they're a little bit more lopsided than the dudes are because of the skirts, but equality for Megazord piloting. Yeah! So that is that. I really enjoy these figures. Like I said, the subtle changes, the ratchet joints, the hand movement, albeit I'm not a huge fan of how soft that plastic is because I feel like it might break. But I like having that wrist joint right there. It helps a little bit in posing. It's a lot easier than trying to move the gauntlets. But all in all, I really enjoy these. If you have the Japanese figures, I would honestly double dip just to have your sets be cohesive, because all future releases are going to use this style, so your 3 dudes will look a little bit different. So in that respect, I do urge you to double dip. The nicer swords are a definite plus as well, and hiding those unsightly screw holes and stuff like that in the Bandai America figures is also a really nice step up. Plus, having posable girls this time around is absolutely fantastic. Huge fan of what they did with those. It's nice to be able to actually pose them again. So that about does it for this review. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a cool video like this one. And as always, thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one.